God is the only one true God, why did he allow so many other religions?
I don't know the actual answer, but I do know some potential answers. And so for Christians, I think an orthodox position is that there's that original source story, that we have in Genesis, the early Old Testament stuff. And so there is only one way to heaven. God is one God, and we're given the path through Christ. But that, if you are a Christian, you believe in the spiritual realm, right? And there is spiritual warfare, and so that story becomes distorted as it spreads around the globe. So all the other religions are distortions of the one way, and so I think that's kind of an orthodox position, a conservative position. A more liberal position is that they're, all of these different religions are paths to the same God, and that he puts markers in all these religions that kind of indicate that. And that there's talk about how God has placed nature there, so each individual has access to God. It's more of a liberal approach, and so there's not like that one source story. It's God has engaged every culture and every person around the globe, and there's just kind of different cultural takes on that. So I know some Christians subscribe to that, but that's the liberal approach. If you're just an atheist, of course there is no God, and all these different religions are simply explained by the brain. The human brain is the same regardless of where you are. But because it's the same, it has similar questions that it's pondering, and it comes to similar conclusions, but those conclusions take on different cultural and environmental aspects, which foster then different religions. So I think there's three distinct answers, and we'll go with whatever Mr. Tar says.
If God is the one true God, why did he create other religions?
Why did human beings... So the question then is, why do we seek after other ways of finding God? He created us with a free will. So that's a key concept. There's been debate over predestination versus free will, and the Bible is clear that God made the world with an end in mind, and he knows where it's going. He knows our steps, but he also created us in his image. So we can decide, we can make things up, we can write novels, and we can choose to deal with those as aids to understanding reality, or we can pretend that they are the true reality. So we invent things all the time. The scriptures say that he has put eternity in our hearts, or that we being made in his image, we know this. We know that there's something greater than we are, and we seek after that. And so I think that God isn't the one who's inventing other gods, but we do. We give God the Father different names. I mean, someone from another country, we have different translated words for the name God and things like that. But the concept of an eternal, immortal, invisible, invincible, omniscient, omnipresent being who fills this world with wonder and is himself wonderful, I think is something common to all those who fear God.
If God is the one true God, why are there other religions?
There are other religions because man, us, have created other religions. And it's because we don't want to have full faith in God. We want to believe in other things. We want to make our own rules. We want to make our own guidelines. So now we've created other religions that steer away from what God is telling us and his word, and that comes from the Bible.
And then our second question is, why does God allow these religions to be in existence?
It's so we can seek him out and find what the truth is, and to have full faith in God. And he's made it, it's not really difficult, it's really easy. You just have to put your 100% faith in God, and that's the only way, and that's the only truth. And he is the way, God is the way, and God is the truth.
Thank you.
If God is the only one true God, why are there other religions, and why does God allow other religions to happen? Why would he make it harder on him?
Well, when y'all told me this question, I thought about it and went back to thinking of Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel and what happened there, that especially with Cain and Abel, there's a situation where one brother chose to honor God through what he did, and Cain did not. And God offered him a chance to make it right, but Cain's response was anger and to try to fix things on his own. And so the idea of other religions, in a way, I think started there, where man decided to try to do things his own way. And as a result, Cain was sent off and separated from God. And in that separation, I can only imagine what mutations happened of being away from God and trying to make your own way. Often I see in my own life and in other people's lives, they try to be their own God. They try to write the rules to make it comfortable for their life. And Cain, who had seen God and actually heard his voice, and then been sent off and led a whole people. It talks about he met other people and started a little nation, and so there was that little offshoot where I think one of the first branches started. Who knows what it was called? But then later in life there was Ishmael and Isaac, and another situation where Sarah and Abraham took it into their own hands and wait on God. The result was another sect, like Ishmael, and they were sent off. And again, they were separate from God and not influenced by Him. And I was trying to think of an analogy, like this may not sound good, but like food that you leave in the refrigerator too long, and maybe you open it up one day and it's turned moldy, and it's just been too long away from its purpose and its design. And I think when men get separated from God, we just have too much that we could choose. So I don't think God wanted us to have all these different religions. He knew that it would happen. He's sovereign, and He knew that that would be us. But one of the best gifts He gave us is free will. And because of that, He knew that there'd be those who would follow and those who won't.
So if God is the one true God, why are there other religions, and why would God allow other religions?
Why are there other religions? Well, God created man in His own image, and He created man. Theologians call one of the names for man is Homo adorans, which is like worshiping man. And God made man to be a worshiping creature, not just a thinking being. And so man is by nature religious. Like he stands up and he looks up to the stars, and God made him a worshiping being. So it is natural for man to worship something. And why are there so many? Because of our sin. In the garden, Adam and Eve blew it, and they overreached. And when they were kicked out of the garden, man was dispersed, and man became depraved, and kind of like a hall of mirrors, you know. The hall of mirrors have like this, it's really weird, strange mirrors that retain like some of the original image, but it like really screws up like the actual image. So in the same way, like man still retains this desire to worship, and unfortunately he misses the mark by worshiping other things. So that, I guess that would be the first answer. Why are there so many religions? Because even though man has a natural propensity to actually worship, he doesn't have the natural propensity to worship the right God in the right way. So that would be the answer.
And the second?
What was the second one? Why does God allow?
Yeah.
Why does He allow it? It's part of the story. God works. God created a world that is a world that's story. Like He's created His history, and He presides over it. And He also He uses a lot of time to do that. He's not evolutionary, but He's an author, and He uses time. He uses drama to create a glorious story that He's telling. And there's always conflict in any good story. And part of that conflict is like true and false worship. Why does He allow it? He's got His reasons for why He allows it, but it's part of what makes the story good.